I stared with confusion at my phone, the light from the screen casting an unnatural glow across my fingers in the dimly lit living room. The rest of the gang were all in on this Monopoly game, their voices rising and falling with the familiar rhythm of competition and friendly trash talk. "I swear to God, if you get free parking, I will literally kill your stupid face," said Evelyn, leaning forward with that intense gleam in her eyes she always got when money was on the line, even fake money. Ravi rolled the dice in his hands, rubbing them together like a Vegas gambler. "Come on, sweet baby Jesus. I just need a 4. He dropped them onto the board with a theatrical flourish. "Fuck," he said, probably biffing it like always. The dice clattered and settled on numbers that clearly weren't what he needed. But I wasn't paying attention to any of that anymore. I tried to make sense of what I was seeing on my screen. Just a word, black text on an all-white background. A rather classical-looking font that reminded me of something you'd see in an old book. "Hide." I tapped, rather impatiently, on the expensive black rectangle. The text wouldn't disappear. I tapped again, harder this time, as if the force of my fingertip could somehow break through whatever this was. Nothing changed. "AJ," Evelyn called, like a teacher busting a student texting in class. "You're fucking addicted. Play board games like a normal human adult." "Yeah, sorry." A few more desperate finger pecks at the screen, then I turned to holding the power button down for an extended period. With my free hand, I grabbed the dice, rolled a 3, landed on B and O railroad. After 2 seconds of thought, "Nah, fuck railroads," I said, my voice distracted, my attention still mostly on the phone that refused to cooperate. Of course, we weren't animals. If someone didn't want to buy a property, that was fine. No auctions or any of that nonsense. House rules. We've been playing with our own modified version of Monopoly for years now, stripping out the parts that made the game drag on forever, adding in little touches that made it more bearable. Back to the phone as Hero, on my left, took the cubes and prepared to drag his sorry little shoe across go to collect his $200. A minute with the power button didn't do anything. We were entering factory reset territory. I contemplated borrowing Ravi's laptop to Google whatever the fuck this might have been. Maybe it was a virus. Maybe I'd clicked on something I shouldn't have earlier that day. I felt the apartment rumble, albeit just for a split second, as if we were on the edge of an earthquake. The sensation traveled through the floor, up through the legs of my chair, into my spine. I tensed, briefly, my body going rigid with that primal fear that comes when the ground beneath you becomes unreliable. The background noise from the TV, "No one wants this auto playing on Netflix," disappeared, following the faint sound of the flicker of static. That particular sound you only hear when electronics die unexpectedly, like the death rattle of a machine. Ravi was the first to get up. "I don't," he said, talking slowly as if not to jinx it. "I don't think that was an earthquake." He examined the TV, confused at the outage. He checked the wires, running his hands along the cables like he might find the answer in the physical connections. "Shouldn't be the breaker. I don't have that much stuff plugged in, do I?" I grappled with the sad, likely hacked state of my phone, and that weird word staring me down. Hide. What kind of hack was this? What did it mean? Was someone fucking with us? "Damn, that's fucking weird," I heard Hero say, half laughing in that nervous way people do when something doesn't make sense. Head lifted. "What?" I asked to catch Hero turning his phone to me. His home screen too had been replaced by black text atop white. "Hide." My stomach dropped. The same word. The exact same presentation. Evelyn, as anti-technology as it comes, had properly clocked this reprieve as her time to quickly respond to long outstanding texts. "The fuck?" she said, her voice rising with genuine confusion. "What is this?" At my confused look, bordering on scowl, resting scowl face as my friends like to call it, she flipped her phone around to show me the damage. It was the same on hers. That classical font. That simple, terrible word. I grew a bit nervous, a cold sensation spreading through my chest. "Ravi, where's your phone?" I asked him, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm sure it's somewhere," he said, still tinkering with the TV. Likely not due to any of his troubleshooting, it flashed back to life, red power light at the base blinking steadily. But Netflix didn't return. A simple message now appeared on the big screen. "Hide. Hide," Ravi asked, grabbing the remote and pressing buttons to switch back to Netflix, but nothing was registering. He mashed the buttons repeatedly, his frustration growing with each failed attempt. "Dude," I said. He turned around. I showed him my phone. Hero and Evelyn showed theirs. We stood there like that for a moment, a weird tableau of people holding up identical messages like some kind of fucked up seance. "That's..." He looked back at the TV, then at us again. "Wait, how is that possible? Is that like an Amber Alert?" Hero asked, trying to rationalize what we were seeing with something familiar, something that made sense. "I mean, I guess, but that's a push notification. This is like completely overtaking the screen. Ravi's brows furrowed, his mind clearly working through the technical impossibility of what we were witnessing. On different hardware, too. My TV is a Samsung, Evelyn's phone is an iPhone, AJ's got that Google Pixel. There's no universal system that could just a hack. I asked, cutting him off. He shrugged. That's kind of a weird hack, no? What's the point? There's no ransom demand, no political message, just hide. Government experiment. Hero again, throwing out theories. A thought came over me, a need to see beyond the walls of this apartment. I walked to the balcony, slid the door open, stepped out onto it. I have Sauron the city from Ravi's 14th floor apartment. The night air hit my face, carrying with it the usual sounds of the city, distant traffic, a car alarm somewhere, the hum of urban life. But something felt different. Wrong. In the neighboring apartment towers, most of the units had blinds down, curtains closed. The few unshuttered, however. I felt like that guy from Rear Window, contained strangers staring perplexed at their phones. At their computers. The sides of bolted-to-the-wall TVs, barely visible to me, displayed the same white background with text atop it. What I was seeing, everyone else was seeing. This wasn't just us. This wasn't just this building. The others joined me on the balcony, the four of us crowding into the small space, our shoulders touching as we looked out over the city. Whatever it is, it's at least hit this block, I said. I looked down at the city streets. Most of the people below caught in a similar holding pattern of standing frozen, heads fixed to their devices. Like a freeze frame in a movie, everyone stopped mid-motion. A woman with a grocery bag, a man walking his dog, a couple that had been holding hands, all of them staring at their phones. I guess we don't have anything to call the cops with, Hero said, gesturing helplessly at his useless phone. I'm sure they're aware. Me, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Maybe wait it out until they fix it? Ravi, ever the optimist. I nodded. And yet, I could tell Evelyn was a bit perturbed, forcing magnetic thoughts to imbue her silence with weight. She had that look she got when she was working through something, when her intuition was screaming at her. Thoughts? I asked her. I mean, should we do it? She asked, her voice quiet but firm. Do what? Ravi asked. Hide. Her again, saying it like it was obvious. Hide where? Ravi again, his confusion genuine. I don't know, she said. I mean, we're already in my apartment. I'm sure that's good enough, right? He said, gesturing around at the walls surrounding us as if they were some kind of fortress. A pause stretched between us, filled with the distant sounds of the city that now seemed ominous rather than comforting. Let's not lose our heads, Ravi continued. This is nuts, but it's not. I mean, it's not like, literally hide, right? Hero clicked his fingers, the sound sharpened the tension. What if it's viral marketing? Like for a movie? Hero with the necessary but unintentional levity. Hacking our phones so we can't use them? I don't know if that's in Lionsgate's purview, man, I said, then, head turned to Evelyn. But hide. The flicker in her eyes more than meant that she'd sided with the light bulb in her head. She returned to the inside, and got to exploring Ravi's apartment carefully, moving with purpose. What are you doing? Ravi asked, trailing after her like a concerned parent. I don't care if I look stupid. It could be a warning. Maybe something is happening, she said, opening doors, checking spaces. We're in a box, basically, said Ravi. We're fine, Ev. But the fucking thing. She motioned to the TV, then to her own phone, says hide. Maybe it's that literal. She continued scouting, finally settling on the sliding closet in Ravi's room. The best she could come up with in his 600 square foot quarters. I'll do here unless you think there's better. Evelyn, Ravi stressed, her name drawn out with exasperation. She shuffled in, past hung garments, scooching to the end to make space. The smell of laundry detergent and fabric softener wafted out. I'm gonna close the door soon, and if you're all really my friends, you'll join me. Awkward silence until Hero chimed first. I mean, guess it's good to be safe, right? He went for it, second-guessed for a second, then committed to entering. He had to duck slightly to avoid hitting his head on the closet rod. You guys get the luxury of laughing at me forever if I'm dumb. Win-win, she called while Hero wedged in beside her. A compelling argument, certainly. If we were wrong, we'd have a funny story. If we were right. Begrudgingly, I followed, tucking in next under Ravi's dress clothes. The fabric brushed against my face, and I could smell the faint scent of his cologne mixed with the mustiness of clothes that hadn't been worn in a while. There was still room for him inside his own closet. Fucking hell. He caved, joining last, sliding the door closed to introduce darkness. Complete darkness, the kind that makes your eyes strain to find any source of light. I went back to my phone. Still that classical font. Still that mandate. Hide. The glow from the screen was the only light source now. casting our faces in an eerie white luminescence. How long do we have to stay in here? Ravi asked, his voice muffled by the clothes around us. 5 minutes, she said with confidence. Yeesh, he tagged. And then we sat in stillness for a while. The closet was cramped, our bodies pressed together in an uncomfortable intimacy. I could feel Hero's breathing against my shoulder, could smell Evelyn's shampoo, could sense Ravi's nervous energy radiating from beside me. Distant tick-tick-ticks of the clock in the living room, bringing down the blood pressure a tad. It was comforting in a way, that mechanical rhythm, something normal and predictable in a situation that was anything but. It all felt silly, kind of fun, in a strange way. Like we were kids again, playing hide and seek, the world reduced to this small dark space and the sound of our breathing. Remember when we went camping at Sunlight Groves? Hero asked, his voice a whisper in the darkness. Glamping, Ravi clarified, unable to help himself even now. Ev thought she saw a bear. Hero laughed, a quiet chuckle. A bear and its cub. It was dark, it fucking looked like bears, she said, half laughing herself. I heard noises too. Bears at Sunlight Groves, he said again. Saddest patch of trees in America. Guys, shut up. We're here, so let's commit to the bit. Before the conjuring doll gets us, said Ravi, surprisingly not bitterly. There was actually a smile in his voice. We kept our traps zipped for another minute. I tried to focus on my breathing, on staying calm. This was ridiculous. We were hiding in a closet because of a word on a screen. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that Evelyn was right to be cautious. Eyes at my phone again. Hide. Nonsensical, all of it really, but in a way that was starting to sit more and more uncomfortably for me. The words seemed to pulse slightly, or maybe that was just my imagination. What do you think it is? Hero whispered. I shook my head in the darkness. Evelyn with the light shrug I could somehow sense more than see. Ravi with a deep inhale before speaking. I mean, obviously sophisticated, he said, voice low. Like it's obviously something. I waved my phone, the movement causing the light to dance across the closet's interior. My bank is on this, and it's bricked now basically. I'm fucked. They'll figure something out, said Ravi, but he didn't sound convinced. Powerful knocks at his apartment door all of a sudden. Thundering. The sound made all of us jump, our bodies tensing as one. Hey, a voice called, muffled through the walls. Ravi, you there? Evelyn braced. Who is that? Her voice was tight with sudden fear. A skinwalker, obviously, replied Ravi. Kidding, my neighbor Monica. Evelyn reached across me and Hero to tug at Ravi's sleeve. Are you positive? Yes, and I should probably get it. You said 5 minutes, she said, her grip tightening on his sleeve. Yeah, but I'm being a pretty trash neighbor right now, he replied. The knocking persisted. So did the words. I have this weird thing on my phone, Brad has it too. It says hide. TV same thing, computer same thing. I don't know how to reach anyone or what to do. The neighbor trailed on, her voice getting higher, more panicked with each word. Ravi blew air out of his nose. All right, this is stupid, I'm gonna. No, said Evelyn, but then all of a sudden, he stopped. We all stopped. I felt something. Something very, very real. No knocking anymore. Or at least, I couldn't hear anything. Not the tick of the clock, nor the soft rustle of us against clothing. It was like the world was holding its breath. Like someone had pressed mute on reality itself. The silence was so complete it hurt my ears, made them ring slightly with the absence of sound. Like there was a presence. Right outside the closet. I couldn't see it, couldn't hear it, but I could feel it the way you feel someone staring at you from across a room. That animal instinct that tells you you're being watched, being hunted. My heart hammered in my chest so hard I was sure the others could hear it, but even that sound seemed muted, dampened by whatever was out there. Then, the sting of static in my ear before. It passed. Whatever it was, the feeling dissipated, the sound returned, and I sneaked a glance at my phone. The word hide was gone, and replacing it was my home screen. My normal, boring home screen with its app icons and the photo of my dog I'd had 3 years ago. The silence between the four of us was uncomfortable. We all knew we'd felt something, but acknowledging it made it real in a way that was terrifying. Did you feel that? Evelyn finally whispered, her voice barely audible. No one said anything. Ravi outstretched his arm yet again to slide the door open, but his hands were shaking. I could see the tremor even in the dim light. You can do it, I whispered. I think we're good. He steeled himself, looking very much like he was crossing some sort of internal threshold. He pulled the door aside, revealing his room exactly as we'd left it. Nothing was disturbed. Nothing was different. And yet everything felt different. We took it in, each of us scanning the room as if expecting something to be wrong, some evidence of what had just happened. I'm gonna answer Monica, he said, with not a whole lot of vigor to his voice, getting up and creeping out of the room. The rest of us followed, stopping in the living room while he continued to the door. I went to Twitter, searched hide, and sorted by new. Evelyn, meanwhile, grabbed the remote from the stand and turned the TV, now hideless, on and maneuvered through the Roku channels. What are you looking for? Hiro asked. Just like a live channel, I guess, she replied. The news. My scrolling wasn't yielding anything of help or insight, though it was clear, via the confused posts from seemingly around the whole world, that the scope of whatever happened was global. People from Tokyo, London, Buenos Aires, all posting the same thing. Screenshots of the word hide. Confused messages. Growing panic. My focus shifted to Ravi, who was standing on the welcome mat. I pressed against the door's peephole. He hadn't moved in quite some time. Too long. At least 30 seconds of complete stillness. Everything all right, man? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. He didn't reply. Just stood there, frozen, his eye pressed to that small glass circle. I approached slowly, each step feeling heavier than the last. She's. I heard him croak, his voice breaking. I reached him, patting him on the shoulders and urging him to detach from the door viewer. He finally did, leaning against the wall at first before slowly sliding to a seat on the floor. His face was pale, his eyes unfocused. I peered into the hallway through the hole. Outside, his neighbor, the one knocking, looked like she'd been skewered, decimated. I couldn't process what I was seeing at first. The human brain doesn't want to accept certain images. It was like someone had taken a person and just unraveled them, torn them apart with impossible force. An explosion of blood in the hallway, splattered across the walls, the ceiling, pooling on the floor. What? I felt a buzz on my phone. I pulled it out, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Again, before I could even process, I heard Ravi and Evelyn react from the living room. There's another one. It says again now. I turned to see the foreboding word on the TV. Fuck. So we should hide again? Hiro called, his voice rising with panic. Much like Ravi, I was shell-shocked. My brain was trying to reconcile what I'd just seen, trying to make it make sense, and failing completely. AJ, what do you think we should do? He repeated, louder this time. Evelyn, I said, trying to force the words out of my mouth. You had good instincts the first time. What do you think? How much time do you think we have? She asked, her voice steady despite everything. How much time passed between when I first saw the word hide and when we felt that presence in the closet? I tried to calculate it, but my thoughts were scattered. It might have been 10 minutes, I heard Ravi mutter, almost lifeless from his position on the floor. I don't. Then Evelyn interrupted herself. Wait, what did you just see outside? She started approaching the door. I stopped her, physically stepping between her and the peephole. I don't think it'll be good for you to see it. Are you serious? She responded, trying to push past me. Yes, I said, immediately realizing that lying might have been smarter. But it was too late now. We can't assume we have the same amount of time, Ravi added from the floor. I went with my pitch. Do we try the same spot? Hiro started pacing, thinking, tapping his foot in that nervous way he did when he was working through a problem. If we think about it, it said, hide, and we hid. Now it's saying, again, and obviously that means that, whatever happened, is gonna happen again. He gave us a look, as if he could see, in our drained expressions, what was waiting on the other side of the door. That's a great recap, man, I said, unable to hide the sarcasm. What I mean, he said, struggling, is that when you'd play, as a kid, if you kept picking the same spot over and over, eventually it'd catch up to you. Are we really trying to apply some sort of logic to this? Ravi mumbled, but he was getting up now, functioning again. Evelyn fortified herself. I think he's right. It's nuts and I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need to operate on gut. And gut tells me, we picked better spots this time. But spots makes it sound like we should split up? I said, looking around, slowly realizing that the limited real estate we had to work with meant this suggestion made more sense than I would have liked. For people hiding in a small apartment, we needed to spread out. I turned to Ravi. Where should we all go? He shook his head, palmed his forehead a few times as if to slap himself back to reality. We do. He started, thinking, his eyes darting around the apartment as if seeing it for the first time. 2 under my bed. He grimaced, letting neurons collide in his mind. One of us in the utility closet, the other, laundry closet. He got up and pointed. One of the closets was right behind me. Life in him again, adrenaline taking over. Now, my eyes flitted to Hiro and Evelyn, who ran into the bedroom without another word. Ravi gave me a nod, before entering the laundry closet and awkwardly squeezing in with the washer and dryer, closing his door with a soft click. I entered the utility closet and closed mine. Rather, I tried to. The door wasn't clicking shut. The latch wasn't catching. The mechanism somehow broken or misaligned. Fuck, I said. Ravi, The door, it's not. But then I fought the urge to say anything more. If time was up, I'd compromise my spot. Hell, compromise his spot too if I kept talking. I tried a few more times to get it to close, jiggling the handle, putting my shoulder into it, but the damn thing just wouldn't. I committed, terrified out of my mind, to gripping the handle and holding the door shut. I tried to keep my shaking hand and quickening breath in check as the silence overtook again. Complete silence. And then, that presence. Closer this time. Right on the other side of the door. I could feel it like heat from a fire. Could sense it examining my hiding spot with whatever passed for its senses. I felt a light tug at the door. I kept my hold firm, but didn't try to overpower, didn't want to completely give it away. The tugging increased slightly. Testing. My muscles screamed with the effort of holding still, of not pulling back too hard. And again, it stopped. The feeling disappeared. And I waited 15 seconds before sneaking a look at my phone, to see that the again warning was gone. I heard the sound of Ravi's door swing open first. I followed with mine, my legs almost giving out beneath me. He was emotional. I forgot that door is fucked. I got scared, man. And I was. You're all good. It's all right, man, I know. I even heard you call for me. And I didn't. I panicked and I thought it. We're alive, man. It's all right. We're. And immediately I remembered it wasn't just us. Evelyn and Hero. Right, he said. We rushed to his bedroom, our footsteps loud in the renewed silence. Nothing, at first. The two hadn't emerged yet. For a moment, the horrifying thought that we'd be pulling their corpses out from under the bed rushed past me, and I felt my stomach drop. Guys, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Coast is clear. Quick. Silence. For quite some time, before they finally shuffled out in one piece, alive. Thank God. Thank fucking God. As they shifted from crawl to bend to standing, I wanted to hold them. Hold everyone. For just a second, I felt a newfound appreciation for life and their faces and personalities. We'd survived. Twice. Another buzz on my phone. I took a look. Break time. I let out a sigh of relief and showed the message to the others. I guess that's good, Evelyn said. A second to catch our breaths, after this fucking craziness. But then what? Ravi asked. Is this just gonna continue? We walked into the living room together, nervously, like soldiers after a battle checking for survivors. We haven't even gotten a single second to wrap our heads around this. Evelyn again. Something in me didn't seem right. A creeping sensation, starting at the base of my skull and spreading. I didn't feel good. Hey, Ev, how'd you know that we should have stayed in the closet for 5 minutes? Hero asked, somewhat pointedly. I clocked minor annoyance in her face at the question. I didn't know anything. It was a guess. But I mean, yeah, you guys were fucking lucky I was here and pushed for it. Because fuck were you all being stubborn. Hero wore a strange expression as he looked at her. All right. Sounds like you want to say something more, she said, her tone getting sharper. Why would I? What makes you think I'd? Ravi interrupted Hero by stepping between the two of them. Holy hell. Keep your heads on, people. But as he said it, and maybe it was just an aberration in my mind, but I couldn't help but feel something significant stir within me, something really inflame, as if even though his face was straight, he was concealing some sort of inner smile at what was happening. Like he was enjoying watching us turn on each other. Hero, I think you're focusing your skepticism in the wrong direction, I said, my voice harder than I intended. Ravi's expression turned irritated, which all but confirmed it for me. There was something wrong with him. I don't know if you want to be mad at the person that saved us the first time, I said, trying to make a point by motioning to Evelyn. But as I looked at her, something felt wrong there too. Her eyes looked different somehow. Too knowing. I contained it, pushed the thought down. And then something even more obvious hit me. So clear I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it before. Wait, Ravi, you tried to kill me. And all of a sudden, I was glaring at him, my temper rising by metric tons every second, as if it was all starting to make sense. The broken door. The forgetting. It was deliberate. He wanted me dead. Evelyn and Hero joined me. I could feel their presence at my sides, a unified front against the betrayer. Ravi looked incredulous. I already admitted that I fucked up with the door. I confess to you. Why are you trying to make things worse? I was trying to calm them down. Then, noticing us approach him, he backed towards the kitchen cabinets. He pointed at me, his fingers shaking. You were on your phone when this first happened, he said, as if he were having his own revelation. You were waiting for it to start. That's an insane fucking misdirect, I said, positive that I couldn't trust him. But as my eyes turned to Evelyn and Hero, I realized I couldn't trust them either, couldn't trust anyone. They were all in on it, whatever it was. How had I been so blind? Still, Ravi absolutely needed to be the first to go, the first to be disposed of. The thought came so naturally, so obviously correct. He grabbed a knife from the cupboard and held it out at us. his knuckles white around the handle. And only the smallest thought in the back of my mind was telling me that we were being toyed with, that it was so incredibly obvious that whatever this was, it had a handle on us. But unfortunately, that understanding was academic for me at best, as I kept finding string after string of thoughts and emotions connecting, everything adding up, the logic sound, my emotions inflamed. Break time, Evelyn said, her voice cutting through the rising tension. It's breaking us. Of course she would know that though, if she were in on it. This was part of the plan. Confuse us, make us fight, weaken us. We all looked at her. I watched for sudden movements from any of these traitors, these bastards. Even a millimeter shift wouldn't get past me. It's overriding us. It's flooding us with anger that isn't ours, and real as it feels. She faced her phone at us, beckoning us to read it clearly. Break time. We can't fall to it. And that small, grounded part of me took over, even though I was sure with everything in my soul that she, Ravi, and Hero were the source of everything that was happening. But maybe she was right. Maybe this wasn't us. Ravi's grip on the knife tightened as he and the rest of us remained in the bizarre equilibrium of our four-way standoff. It's all of you, I thought to myself, before I felt a lightness overtake me. Like an insatiable hunger fading, or extreme fear dissipating when you realize that noise in the other room wasn't a person, but rather something knocking over. My feelings of unrest and paranoia were gone. Evaporated like they'd never been there. My phone screen, once again, returned to its default background. It was hard to describe how I felt now. Lucidity, shame, horror at what I'd been thinking, at what I'd almost done. I looked at Ravi sadly. His head hung low as he put the knife back in its place with shaking hands. Hero turned to Evelyn first. I'm sorry, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Then to Ravi. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Ravi, barely audible. I'm sorry. Me, meaning it with everything I had. You're welcome, assholes. Evelyn. We deserved that. We deserved worse. That was fucking insane, Ravi said. Like a fucked up roller coaster ride, said Evelyn. I didn't. That wasn't totally me, Hero said. Like, something was in me, and it was. It's okay, man. I was getting tired of saying it, and certainly I out of everyone didn't deserve to impart forgiveness anyway after where my own head was at only 30 seconds ago. We need to write something down, like we are susceptible. Don't forget, started Ravi. We just need to remember to keep your heads on. I interrupted. Remember. But I think the fear that, again, would pop up on our phones drove him to start rummaging for some paper, start scribbling some words on it, while the rest of us tried to soak in the reprieve of nothing happening. Every half-second a luxury. Every breath a gift we'd taken for granted our entire lives until tonight. I wanted to say sorry another 20 or so times, something I was sure wasn't a feeling unique to me. I feel like I'm losing myself, I said. It felt like I was in a dream at this point. Nothing felt real anymore. Yeah, said Ravi. Yeah. We're, Hero said, looking at us carefully. Probably all gonna die. Should we say our words, I guess? Don't talk like that, said Evelyn, but there was no conviction in her voice. How many people do you think are dead? Hero asked, the question hanging in the air like a physical weight. I went to the TV, temporarily free yet again from 1 or 2 word mandates. Turned it on, toggled through the home page until I found the live stream of a soccer game. Maybe we'd find something normal, something that would tell us the world was still functioning. One fixed camera angle. Everyone in the stadium, torn apart. Players on the field within frame, eviscerated. The grass was painted red. Bodies scattered like discarded puppets. The scoreboard still displayed the time, 67th minute. They'd been watching a game when it happened. I returned to the home page, navigating in an attempt to find a different live program. I clicked on what appeared to be a news channel I hadn't heard of before. The sight of an empty desk appeared. Wires leading under the desk made me think that perhaps the anchor was hiding under it. We are trying to report, he said, his voice muffled and shaking, knowing that the signal is going to cut out. I've survived so far, survived whatever exactly this might be, but the carnage from footage I've seen is extensive. I strongly recommend. The broadcast was interrupted by the new word, seek, again, in classical lettering, and the screen cracked, then shattered with a loud pop, sending bits of glass onto the floor. As did the screen on my phone that I'd placed on the coffee table. As did the phones in Evelyn and Hero's hands too, reactively dropped on the floor by the pair, a weak bounce before settling. I panicked, my heart rate spiking immediately. Seek, seek, I said desperately, trying to jolt my brain to the task. What did seek mean? Were we supposed to look for something? Find something? Maybe something out of place? Evelyn said, already moving, scanning the room with frantic eyes. What if we have to find what's killing everyone? Said Hero. I started, but I couldn't even muster up a close to the sentence. My thoughts were scattered, racing in too many directions at once. I ran to the balcony, outside, to see if there was something obvious to look for, in the sky, in the city. What I spotted on the neighboring high-rises was blood-stained curtains, unrecognizable bodies where blinds were lifted, and, as my eyes darted from spot to spot, a lead. A small TV in one of the apartments. The screen looked unbroken. A word on it I couldn't make out. 5 letters was the best I could do from this distance. "It's the screens," I said, rushing back inside. "We need to find a screen that still works." I ran back into the living room, my mind racing. Does anyone have binoculars? They all looked at me like I'd suggested we grow wings and fly. Why the fuck would anyone have binoculars? Ravi asked. There's a screen, I think, in one of the other apartment buildings. It's working, there's a word, but I can't see it. We need to find another one. I don't know. I ran into Ravi's office. Computer screen broken. Fuck. Grabbed his laptop, shattered. The keyboard was intact, but the screen looked like someone had taken a hammer to it. Nope. I nervously tapped my chest with the fingertips of both of my hands while the rest desperately searched for something viable too. The apartment was a minefield of broken technology now. Did I have to run to the other apartment? Would there even be enough time? How would I even get in? And then, like a bolt of the blue, it hit me. Ravi, where's your phone? His voice was a little confused. I don't know, man, I lose it all the time. Find it. You really think that's it? We're looking for a functioning screen. It's the only one we haven't ruled out yet. I turned to Hero next. Check out the other apartments on this floor. See if any of the doors are unlocked. If they are, go inside, check everything. Phones, laptops, TVs, doesn't matter. See if there's a message intact on any of them. On it, he said, rushing to the door, opening it, freaking out at the body in front of it, nearly tripping over Monica's remains, then composing himself and rushing into the hallway as the door closed behind him. We tore apart Ravi's apartment next. Every drawer, every surface, every possible hiding place. Couch cushions flying through the air. Where do you usually lose it? I asked, my voice rising with desperation. My head peeked under the bed. Nothing but dust bunnies and a forgotten sock. Peeked into counters alongside Evelyn, desperately. I don't, man, he answered. It's stupid, but sometimes I literally just chuck it across the room. Helpful, supremely helpful. In the bathroom, I looked in the medicine cabinet, behind the toilet, in the shower. Then, back into his room, to his closet, checking the pockets of all of his pants. Dress pants, jeans, that one pair of corduroys he insisted on keeping. I started to feel the inevitable looming. This was the one that was going to kill us, wasn't it? Love you guys, I heard Evelyn say almost under her breath, like she could feel it too. The acceptance in her voice made my chest tighten. No tangible ticker counting down, but a feeling in my chest. A train closing in, with us tied to the tracks, unable to do anything but watch it approach. Ravi running to the TV stand, looking behind. Then, under books, under shelves, checking the same places twice in his panic. And I was back in the living room again, sure there was nothing left, my eyes lowering to the painful game we'd started our deadly evening with, Monopoly. The board sat there like an accusation. We'd been so carefree just an hour ago, arguing about fake money and fake properties while the world ended around us. Specifically, to the messy pile of 50s, 20s, and 10s on Ravi's side of the board. I knew his etiquette for swapping some of them out for hundreds was quite poor. The cash stacked high, which made sense. He was crushing all game. And yet, I crouched and did an even more aggressive sweep of the spot that we'd started our desperate search at, to discover his preserved Samsung Galaxy A35 underneath the fake money, with a new word to greet me. Smile. And it really did feel like time was up this time. I could feel the presence gathering again, that weight in the air that preceded the horror. I found it too heavy to smile. I screamed like a goddamn auctioneer, the words tumbling out so fast they were barely comprehensible. Evelyn turned first from her spot in the kitchen. What? I ripped the phone from the ground and held up the message to her. Smile. She mirrored my uncomfortable expression, all teeth, feigned happiness, like a demented beauty pageant contestant, as did Ravi as he bolted out of the room before even seeing the message on the phone or my intense eyes. Hero threw open the door. Couldn't find anything. I'm sorry, he screamed. He saw our wide smiling faces and our eyes screaming at him to get the hint as I tried to mouth the word while keeping my pose, but instead it sounded like SMUHHH. And yet, despite the confusing sight, with the luckiest stroke in the world, he copied and showed me those pearly whites. I retained my beaming smile, feeling a tear of fear travel down my cheek, my eyes glued to Ravi's phone in my hand, hoping and praying that we wouldn't all get torn apart. The silence descended again. The presence was here, examining us, And we held those grotesque smiles like our lives depended on it. Because they did. My face muscles burned with the effort. I could feel the things circling, considering, deciding. And the word disappeared. I showed the group the proof, and one by one our cheery expressions dropped to our default nervous frowns. Resting scowl face restored. A collective exhale that felt like we were breathing out our souls. I can't fucking do this, said Ravi, his voice breaking. I know, Evelyn added. And unlike some of the gaps we'd been afforded in the past, I already spotted a new message on the single, remaining functional phone left in my right hand. Point to sacrifice. I could feel the group's eyes on me. I couldn't hide the misery. My face must have said everything. What? Ravi asked, though something in his tone suggested he already knew it was bad. Point to sacrifice, I said, barely legible. AJ? Evelyn asked, moving closer. I tilted the phone so they could read it. I couldn't say the words any louder. My body wouldn't let me. Underneath the words, a timer had been running. One that was already down to 145, 144, 143 by the time I flashed them the phone. And yet still, all of us needed more seconds to let it settle. To understand what was being asked of us. One of us had to die. We had to choose. I felt defeated. Truly this time. This wasn't something we could hide from or smile through. This was a choice we had to make. All right, said Ravi, cutting through the holding pattern. So what? We talk it through with the time we have left? Maybe we all agree on someone to point at? I mean, hey, fuck knows what I have to live for. Hero next. My family, mom, dad, siblings, I wasn't even thinking of them this whole time. They're all probably dead, Yeah, I interrupted, his words hitting me immediately and curbing any remaining social etiquette I had left. Everyone I had ever known was likely gone. Wow. My parents, my sister, my coworkers, everyone I'd ever met, ever loved, ever even disliked. Gone. Torn apart like Monica. The world had ended while we were hiding in closets and smiling on command. Evelyn smiled at us softly, and there was something in that smile that broke my heart. I just have you guys now, she said. So, yeah. Fuck this, she said, immediately pointing to herself, almost causing me to die right there in fear she'd be torn apart immediately, but the counter was still ticking down. I flipped the board on this bullshit, she said, without wavering. 112, 111, 110. Hero pointed to himself. Fuck it, yeah? You know what? I flipped the board too, he said. His hand was steady, his face resolute. I looked at him, almost nervously, exasperated. Really, after all that, guys? 107, 106, 105. If there is a hell, Ravi said. Unlikely, but what the fuck? Maybe we dodged that bullet. He curled his index finger back towards himself. Flipped the fucking board. I just looked at them. It was strange to feel a deluge of selfish thoughts flood into me all at once. I wanted to live. I had things I wanted to do, places I wanted to see, experiences I hadn't had yet. And they were offering themselves up like it meant nothing. 040, 039, 038. All right, I said, copying my peers. Let's do it. I pointed at myself too, like we were all playing Simon Says or something. For friends pointing at themselves, refusing to choose, refusing to let this thing make us turn on each other. 033, 032, 031. I took an appreciative look at my old friends. The longest-standing friends I'd ever had in my stupid life. We'd met in college, bonded over late-night study sessions and terrible cafeteria food, and a shared love of bad horror movies. We'd been through breakups and job losses and family drama together. And now we'd face this together too. And then, at the Monopoly board we were playing on. It really was quite an awful game. I wasn't sure why we'd always subject ourselves to it. 027, 026. I saw the pile of money on free parking. 023, 022. The only way to make it fun was to play with bullshit rules, house rules. Our own modifications to make an unbearable game bearable. 020, 019. Wait, I said, an idea forming, crazy but maybe, just maybe. Follow me. I sprinted to the door. I opened it, held it open for the rest. Monica's body was still there, still horrifying, but I forced myself to look at it. 015, 014, 013. I pointed at Ravi's dead neighbor in the hallway in front of the door. Monica, we didn't know what we were dealing with until she died. Her sacrifice gave us a chance, I said, almost looking up as if I was speaking to whoever was enacting this terror on us. To whatever was listening. I was aware it was a reach. A desperate, insane reach. 009, 008. And we've probably lost a lot of humanity since then, so, sorry, I said, pointing at her with more conviction now. And thank you. 006, 005. And my best friends pointed too, understanding what I was trying to do. following my lead even though it was crazy. A real morbid way to close things out, with a clash of sorry and thank you escaping them as what would likely be their last words. I had really interrupted what was quite a nice moment inside for this strangeness. 002. 001. Midnight. House rules, I said, and then I prepared myself for it. Pain, then annihilation. I closed my eyes, clenched every muscle in my body, waited for whatever would come. But nothing came. Instead, Ravi's phone in my hand just read, "Good game." The words seemed almost cheerful, grotesquely so given everything that had happened. Like we'd just finished an actual game, a fun evening of entertainment rather than a night of survival horror. Before defaulting to Ravi's homepage picture, a borzoi. He didn't even own one. He was just obsessed with that breed of dog. The long snout, elegant creature stared back at us from the screen, a bizarre return to normalcy. We stood there for 10 minutes it felt, before we finally ventured inside, single file, like a group of polite zombies. None of us spoke. What was there to say? I was unsure what to make of what had happened, what to do, who to check on, the state of the world, what was going on around me. The questions were too big, too overwhelming to even begin processing. I sat back down at the Monopoly board. The others, in an almost Manchurian Candidate sort of way, took their spots too, returning to where we'd been before the world ended and then unended. Or maybe it was still ended out there. Maybe we were the only ones left. I think it was my turn, I said slowly. My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. I grabbed the dice. They felt heavier than they should have, like they were made of lead instead of plastic. I rolled. It was a 10. I tapped my top hat icon on each square until I landed on Short Line Railroad. Count them off one by one, the familiar route around the board. Park Place, Luxury Tax, Boardwalk, Go, Mediterranean Avenue, Community Chest, Baltic Avenue, Income Tax, Reading Railroad, Oriental Avenue, Chance, Vermont Avenue, Connecticut Avenue, Just Visiting Jail, St. Charles Place, Electric Company, States Avenue, Virginia Avenue, Pennsylvania Railroad, St. James Place, Community Chest, Tennessee Avenue, New York Avenue, Free Parking, Kentucky Avenue, Chance, Indiana Avenue, Illinois Avenue, B&O Railroad, Atlantic Avenue, Vintner Avenue, Waterworks, Marvin Gardens, Go to Jail, Pacific Avenue, North Carolina Avenue, Community Chest, Pennsylvania Avenue, Short Line Railroad. Do you want to buy it? Evelyn asked me, her voice flat, automatic. I thought about it for too long. Thought about all the properties I'd never buy, all the houses I'd never build, all the rent I'd never collect. Thought about Monica in the hallway, and everyone in the soccer stadium, and the news anchor hiding under his desk, and my parents and my sister, and everyone else who was probably gone. Finally, sure, the word hung in the air. We sat there, the four of us, around a Monopoly board in an apartment on the 14th floor while the world outside remained unknown. Ravi dealt out the property card for Short Line Railroad. Evelyn picked up the dice for her turn. Hero counted his remaining money. And we played. Because what else could we do? What else was there? Outside, sirens began to wail in the distance. Or maybe they'd been wailing all along, and we were only now able to hear them again. The city was making sounds again, returning to something that might have been life or might have been its echo. Evelyn rolled a 7. Landed on Community Chest. Drew a card. You have one second prize in a beauty contest, she read aloud, her voice cracking slightly. Collect $10. She collected her $10. Ravi went next. Then Hero. Then me again. We went around the board like that for another full rotation before anyone spoke about what had happened. And when someone finally did speak, it was Ravi. Do you think it's over? He asked quietly. Nobody answered. Because none of us knew. None of us would ever know. We'd survived by following rules we didn't understand, set by something we couldn't comprehend, for reasons that would never be explained to us. I looked at my friends' faces in the dim light of the apartment. We were alive. For now, that would have to be enough. Your turn, I said to Evelyn. She rolled the dice. The game continued.